Knees and toes.
The shoulders have to do with anything?
Because of what you did to my bold prediction. Yes, I'm taking this too far, but I don't care. We're
The
going.
noise is great for those who are audio only.
What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Monday, December 1st, 2025. It's the countdown to Christmas. I am always PK. That is always Phil. We're your co-hosts for this episode. 392. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com, and you can look for the time breakdowns in the description of the show. Phil, I went with a little interesting start, not the normal boring intro. Your Christmas tree inspired me. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you.
You're
it's
welcome.
it's looking good back there. Got some new lights for it, and it's nicely decorated. Now that Thanksgiving over, it can be turned on.
Yeah, it's actually lit up this week. It's not the fake red dot that we had last week.
From now until Christmas.
Yeah, but we got Bandits game to talk about. We'll go over the NLL outlook, and then depending on how much time we got left, we'll go over the two other teams in Buffalo, because I slept through the Sunday game, because who cares? They're not winning a Super Bowl. Yes, they won, but holy cow, are they boring. It literally put me to sleep. And then Sabres. We'll see what happens there. But we'll go over the Bandits first. Banner went up. Third straight time. We were part of it. Phil was behind the camera, working it out.
I don't know what I was doing.
Phil was the professional photographer this week for the BSC. We're expanding our roles here covering the Buffalo Bandits. But Phil took on the camera duties, got a bunch of film, and if you looked at the player of the week for week one, that picture was taken by yours truly, Phil, over there sitting in the hot seat. But Bandits, 15-11 victory. Dane had 4, Nanaco, McKay, Byrne each had 2. And then rounding it out with 1 are Dylan Robinson, Mitch DeSnew, Ryan Benesh, Steve Priolo, and Kyle Buchanan. Vince, 32 of 43 saves. Shots were 60-43 in favor of Buffalo. Faceoffs dominated by Connor Farrell, 26-5, rightfully so, when Georgia doesn't have a faceoff, man. Buffalo, 1 for 3 on the power play. Georgia, 1 for 5. But Phil, overview, real quick, what were your thoughts on game 1 of 18 for the Buffalo Bandits?
I think the win was good. I think more than anything, my overall thoughts of the game was that it's game 1 and it looked like a game 1. They had times where they looked really good, and I was like, okay, this is exciting. Then they had times where they didn't look too good and looked like they were a little bit lost, and it was a game 1. I think overall there were more positives than negatives, which is kind of what you want coming out of a game 1. But definitely a lot for them to clean up, which is interesting to say in a 15-11 victory that they handled overall pretty well, but they were losing at one point in the game, and Georgia did keep it close for a long time until the Bandits pulled away. So there were definitely times where you could tell this team, as much as we've talked about Vancouver having a lot of turnover and their offense is going to look different, it's going to take them some time to gel and everything. I think the Bandits have the same thing. There were a lot of names in that lineup that aren't regulars. Between Nielsen, I know Scanlon played a little bit last year, but he wasn't in there all the time. You had Benesh, you had DeSnew. I think it's going to take time for this team to really figure it all out, figure what everybody's roles are, and kind of gel completely. You could tell there were times they just looked off. But on top of that, they won 15-11 and made it look pretty good. So overall, I was very happy with how things went, but you could tell it was game 1, and there's plenty that they need to clean up moving forward.
Yeah, even add in Dooley and Ranjan as well for other players that weren't household regulars last year. But it started off a bit interesting. Zach Belter goes on the IR. Taylor Dooley gets called up, and he gets put right in the lineup. Triolo and Thomas Whitty were the healthy scratches, and we were talking about, okay, what does this... That was your one question to me last Friday. What is the most interesting thing? And I said it would be Game 1's roster decisions. For the first time since we started covering this team, they went with 8 forwards and went 4-4 It was not a McKay out the back door situation and then sprinkled in forwards. They went four righties, four lefties the entire time. Buffalo 5-4 after one. It was 8-8 at half. Then Buffalo kind of took over in that third quarter, outscoring them 4-1 with a 12-9 lead going into the fourth quarter, and that was kind of it from there. I do agree fully with what you said. It was game one. I knew going into this game and going into this episode, it was okay. There was a lot of changeover, a lot of new names coming in. It was going to be a bit messy. We've went over it for the past two seasons where Matt Vince isn't playing in the summers anymore. It might take him a few games to get going. It took him about a half to get going because that first half, he did not look like vintage Matt Vince. He did not look like what we saw in the playoffs. But we had also not seen him play lacrosse since last May. It takes a bit, even in preseason, even in training camp, getting shots like that. It's
full speed until
it's completely different when you're in game one of the regular season. So you kind of knew, as some of these players as well don't see regular action during the summer. They have full-time jobs. Like Kyle Buchanan has not played. Paul Dawson has not played. Some of these older vets just do not play across the summer. So this is their first real action, first live time action since last year.
And you could tell, just kind of off of that, Dane played over the summer. Josh played over the summer, and look at how, yes, they're incredible players, but they came and they looked like this is the end of the year. They're getting ready for playoffs. Like they came in completely ready for the season, blew the doors off the place, and you could tell there's a big difference between how they looked compared to a lot of other people that don't play in the summer, and it truly is their game one.
Yeah. So game one, they're going into a bye next week, but things will get better. Things will get worked out. Nothing to overreact with this one, but we're still going to give the goods and the bads of what we saw. We'll start with the forwards. Nanako, 2-1-3. He had 3 shots on that. I was kind of expecting more from him in this one. But again, when you're going in with 8 forwards, there's a lot of mouths to feed. McKay, 2 goals, 2 assists. 2 goals, 2 points, 13 shots. Benny, 1-1-2 on 9 shots. He had plenty of opportunities right in the front of the net. I loved his role on this one, getting right in front. That one where I believe he had it in his stick for less than 0.1 of a second. It was a fantastic shot on Dobson. Nielsen just 1 assist in this one. Byrne 2, 4, and 6. Scanlon 1 assist on 4 shots. Buchanan 1, 2, and 3. His points kind of came towards the end of the game, and then Smith 4, 4, and 8 kind of leading the offense. And it was Dave Buchanan talking to Dane Smith after the game, asking him, "Okay, you got some of the scorers out of the lineup. Is this a new Dane Smith type of season this year where you're going to expect to score more goals?" And he kind of said flat out, yes. People kind of doubted me last year where, my scoring ticked down a bit. I think I might have been wrong with the 40-goal scorer guys. He might not break his own assist record, but he's probably going to be up and over 40 goals. So I think some of these guys looked very fresh and in mid-season form, and some of them are going to take a few games to get back in, and it doesn't help that we're going into a bye, but you got some time to figure out what you want to do with this roster, because personally, and I know we're going to go into the negatives in a minute, I don't like the 8-forward idea. I think even this is the hardest part about talking about a team, and we've talked about this for a while. It's so hard to be negative for a 3-time straight champion. I did not like what we saw out of the 4-4, even though they scored 15 goals. I don't think that's the way this team, in my opinion, operates best. But again, we'll go into that when we get into the negatives.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about the forwards without mentioning that too much, because it's kind of the overall glaring thing that you see out of the offense is, yes, there were times where they looked good and had a lot of good plays, but there were a lot of times to me, and again, it's game one, there's a lot of new faces. I think that's the biggest thing. Like you said, 4-4 also, it hurts the chemistry, but I think they were just plenty of times where they looked off. And yes, Dobson's a great goalie. He had a lot of good saves, and so that's also a big part of it. They put up 15 goals. Not all the offense did that, but we'll get to that in a second. But I think they looked off at times. You could tell they just looked like a team that haven't played all that much together, and the players like a Dane Smith, again, he's in midseason form already. You could tell he just kind of took over certain situations where he's like, all right, this is my time. I'm going to score. And he was ready for this game. Not that the other guys aren't ready, but again, it's going to take them a little bit longer to put this all together. I mean, McKay, you could tell he was frustrated out there. I mean, I forgot what it was, but his shooting percentage last year was through the roof. He had like 5 shots a game and 3 goals. This time, 13 shots, only 2 goals. And you could tell when he finally scored, there was a sigh of relief, yep, like internally, that he was like it just seemed like he was off on his shooting, and he could tell he just wasn't feeling it quite a bit. And even like you saw with Nanacoke, like his one goal was right in front of the net. His other goal was a great transition goal, but as far as what he did for the offense, it's not. It's only game 1, not going to overreact, but it's not what we were expecting from him with only 3 shots on goal, and 2 of those weren't even part of the offense. So throughout the whole game, he had 1 possible shot as like an offensive shift. And that's not what I expect from him as a righty forward on this team moving forward. So we'll see. We'll see what it all kind of falls apart. I mean, overall, again, you can't really complain about 15 goals. You can't really complain about this much. But I definitely think there's a lot they need to work out on offense.
Yeah, I thought overall for the good parts about the forward group. Scanlon, I do not think that he is the next coming of Chris Cloutier, which I think a lot of fans were hoping for. He is a very good depth role piece on this offense. He got stuck on the defensive end one time. He played very well back there, and he was able to box out the one guy. I can't remember exactly who it was. It might have been Lyle. It might have also been Benedict. I can't remember exactly who it was. But Mitch Desnew lodged the ball loose, and then it was right at Scanlon's feet. And rather than him try to pick it up and then a cluster there, he boxed out the guy and was able to have Mitch Desnew pick it up. I like Scanlon's game. He's the water bug for the left-hand side with less production in the stat sheet is what I would call him right now at this part of his career. Can he develop into what Kyle Buchanan is? 100%. But I do not believe that he is there anytime soon. And I don't think you can expect him to put up 3, 4, 5 points a night on this type of offense. I don't think that's going to be his role in here. That's why it was also a big question mark to me why he was in the lineup over Thomas Whitty, where you were already light on the left-hand side on the back end with Belter going down, and instead of just putting Whitty back there, you put in another righty in Dooley, and it ended up working. Again, 15 goals, game 1. There's only so much data and so many. There's one game that we can break down. We can't pull information from prior games. We only have one 60-minute game to pull from. So if we're coming over, if we're a little bit over negative in this one, that's not the way we're trying to sound. That's just it's one 60-minute game that we can talk about. But overall, I think their passing was much better than I was anticipating it being for game 1 with all the new faces. You weren't seeing a lot of passes over people's heads. You weren't seeing a lot of drop passes. They were crisp passes. The post bailed them out on multiple times on that 5-man or 5-minute major that they were on the power play for. I think it was 4 posts, right? If I remember correctly.
It was a lot.
2 on the first shift and then 2 sporadic the rest of the way. But overall, I think their offense is going to be something that you do not have to worry about whatsoever. Their goal scoring is going to be there, whether that's Dane picking up the slack, Josh Byrne having another insane season, or the rest of the guys sprinkling it in and getting 20, 30 goals over the course of the season. I'm not worried about the offense whatsoever. They're going to work it out. 15 goals is 15 goals. I just think moving forward, your best option is to either go 4 righties or 4 lefties and put that extra guy on defense. I'm very interested to see what they do versus Halifax, who's got a bigger offense. That's pretty much the only positives I got for the offense right now. That before I go into any negatives.
Yeah, no, I do like Scanlon's game, like you said. I think he's going to be one of those players similar to Buchanan. I don't know if he'll ever get the sneaky hat tricks, but I think he'll be good for one goal, like one big goal where he's left alone in front of the net and he's able to bury it. And sometimes it's all you need out of a player like that is those extra second chances that you get when he's out there for the loose balls that he's able to pick up. And then just that one goal that he chips in a close game, that might be all he gives you, but that might be all you need out of him. But yeah, I don't know. Unless they see something, again, one game, so it's really hard to see trends or anything. unless they see something in Nielsen that we currently haven't been able to see on the field. There's a lot that goes on in practices, off season, preseason. I don't love him out there right now with the mix that they have. I'd rather have somebody else, like you said, like a Whitty on the back end instead of a Nielsen. We'll see if Triolo gets in there at some point. But if they continue to run this, I'm going to be surprised if unless we see something from Nielsen in these first 4 or 5 games. Like if this is what they kind of stick with, we'll see with all the injuries they have right now. I'm sure it'll change plenty of times. But if this is what they kind of stick with, then it'll be interesting to see if Nielsen doesn't start producing, what that means for him. I like his grittiness that he brings. He's a very tough forward for his size. He seems to play with a really big edge when he's out there, but I think they need more than that on that side. So we'll see what it kind of comes down to.
Yeah, we can transition to the Nielsen part. I didn't like his game 1, and I understand this is only game 3 of his entire career. Game 1 this season. Get it, because he's got a long career ahead of him. I'm fully believing in that. I think he's going to be a very good scorer down the line. He just looked lost most of this game, where when Dane had it along the boards and he was getting double teamed, he didn't know where to go with his positioning to get open. And I think that comes with playing in games. So maybe early on in the season, it's going to be a little bit trial by fire of, okay, kid, you got to figure this out because we're going to need you in game 16, 17, and 18 this season. But game 1, he looked lost a lot.
Yeah.
And he did not look like a guy that was setting the hard picks or getting into the dirty areas where he had to go. It seemed like even a lot of the times where by the time he even got on the field, the ball was going the other way because he was late getting onto the field because a defender was late getting off the field. I personally, and again, I'm trying not to overreact to one game, but I think you throw out a Mike Triolo versus Halifax, who's got a bigger offense that can set those harder picks that is going to go against a grittier Halifax defense, where you got Tyson Bell, you got Jake Withers, you got Ryan Tarafanko, and so on and so forth. You know the oddballs that are in Halifax. I think Mike Triolo would be a better spot for this offense versus a Halifax. So maybe it really is going to be a picky choosy kind of thing depending on what the opponents are. Again, one game of data that we can pull from, so trying not to go over negative. The second thing was the transition defense from the forward group. It was bad in the first half. They adjusted in the second half. It kind of helps when you only allow 3 goals in the whole second half. But the transition game from getting back from offense to defense was not good. There was multiple opportunities from Georgia. And yes, I know Georgia's fast, young, and they're a very quick transition team. And I think they have a very bright future in that part of the role. But how many times did we see the forward group just busting their butts back and just a hair too slow to get back? That is something that they're going to have to keep an eye on moving forward, because again, this is not a young Bandits group. They're a veteran savvy group that's battle tested and ready to win in the playoffs. They don't have those youth legs like a Georgia does, like you're going to see from many other teams in this league. And then the only other negative I have is 0 goals on that 5-minute major. Yes, they got the goal right after it ended with the Hokananakoke and that whole mess up between Shanahan and Van Scheppen, but no goals that whole 5-minute major. Game 1, it's going to happen. But it's bad when there's a trend from last year's power play that struggled to this year's power play that's already looking like it struggled. Again,
Agreed.
4 posts, got a little unlucky. I am going to be interested because you had Nanakoke leading the charge from the top of the point on the power play. I'm wondering if that's going to be a common theme now that, because Frazier did it for a few times, a few power plays last year to get Smith and Josh Byrne on the opposite sides. I'm wondering if Nanakoke's taking over that role in the power play. We'll see how that grows from moving forward on this season.
Yeah, power play is definitely something that needs to already be kind of worried about. Again, it's going to take time with all these new faces and everything out there. But like you said, something that was a little bit worrisome last year was one of my bold predictions that they'd be number 1 in the league this year and off to a horrible start. And with that 5-minute major, there was a backup goalie in who was fresh off the bench, and you weren't able to slide anything past him. I understand it's a goalie that played in Buffalo for a very long time. You said that the players shoot on him during the week, so he might have a little bit of a leg up in that situation where he knows their tendencies, knows what they're shooting. He's got more information than your average backup goalie does against this team, but still, he's cold coming off the bench. and you aren't able in a 5-minute major to put one past him until, again, like you said, that mess up at the very end, not really going to count that as part of it. So something that needs to be worked out, and hopefully they can kind of fix that moving forward.
So we'll move over to defense and transition. I thought they did a very good job second half on. And yes, there were still slip ups in the first half, slip ups in the second half. But overall, they held Lyle Thompson, did you know this, to 0 points until the very final goal. Like, he was being shut out until that one side pick on Priolo that got dished to McIntosh in the net. He was running zeros across the board on 8 shots. I hands down, and that was a big reason why we gave Mitch Desnew player of the game, was not just because of his numbers, the 1-1-2, 10 loose balls, 3 block shots, and 2 caused turnovers. That led the stat line for all defenders back there. But he was on Lyle Thompson, I would say 80 to 85% of the game, because I rewatched it Sunday morning. Between him, it seemed like Wires was on him for a few shifts. It seemed like Dylan Robinson was on him for a few shifts. And it seemed like Ron John was on him for a few shifts. But it seemed like their goal going in was, let's shut down Lyle with Mitch Desnew back there and see if the rest of the offense could beat us. And they weren't able to do that. And hands down, that was one of the best defensive jobs on Lyle Thompson that we've seen in the 5 years that we've been covering this team. Again, other defenders have done it. This is not a shot at Justin Martin. This is not a shot at Zach Belter. This is not a shot at any of the other defenders that have D'd up Lyle Thompson before. I just don't think we've ever seen Lyle held to 0 points through 10 goals into the fourth quarter. And if it wasn't for a hard side pick on Steve Priolo, he might have gotten shut out this whole game. And I'm not saying that he looked checked out, but Lyle did not look like vintage Lyle in game 1 versus Buffalo. I noticed it at the game, and then I rewatched it. You weren't seeing him bust his butt back and transition for the back checks. You weren't seeing him dive across the crease. He didn't look like vintage Lyle in game 1. He didn't play much in preseason. He didn't play much in training camp, so maybe that's a tribute to it. But that's going to be something I'm tracking all year long. But again, hands down, that was one of the best efforts I've seen on a Lyle Thompson since we started covering this team. It was great work by Mitch Desnew through game 1, and that's why you go out and get a guy like him.
Exactly, and like we said, we were worried about Martin disappearing and retiring and not being there anymore, and before the Desnew news, that was a humongous loss, still is, but seeing Desnew step into that situation and be able to shut down one of the best players in the entire world the way he did, it makes you feel a lot more at ease about the entire defense. And just, I don't know, it's still so mind-blowing to see Desnew even out there. When I saw him with the jersey on and the Bandits, I was like, I still can't believe they were able to get him. And then for him to go there and just play the way he did already in game 1, looks like everything as advertised, like they've said about Desnew. Not that I was expecting anything less, but to see it just immediately show up game 1 to be this elite, it's just so great to have a guy like that out there. And then to me, the transition was incredible by the defense. Priolo getting up there, scoring a transition goal, helping Desnew get his transition goal. There was Dylan Robinson. I think his was empty netter, but still, You had Nanticoke in transition off of that one play off the post where he was able to get it. It seemed like Desnew was able to bring, and Dylan Robinson were able to bring something a little bit more to the transition game that they were pushing. Like, Desnew seemed like he was pushing the defensive offense that much harder than I think we've seen normally. Normally, again, a lot of times you trust this offense, they are incredible, but it seemed like Desnew was almost kind of willing the defense, like, hey, we don't have to get off the field. Let's go try to push this. Let's go try to get a goal. I know this offense is amazing, but I want some goals too. I want some points. Let's go. And it seemed like his pace of play, he was pushing everything that much faster to keep the defense on and maybe get some of those transition opportunities where normally the defense will sprint up there and then wait for the offense and they'll do a full switch because the offense is that, just so good that you want them out there. But it seemed like Desnew on the team was pushing the defensive transition that much more. And I think you saw a lot of goals come from that. So I think that's going to be something that's going to be really interesting to see throughout the year. I mean, something we've been asking for years now is a solid transition game. And now that you lost McKay to the offense, which is fine, he's great up there, but that's something that's missing. And now Desnew brings that back in. And even Priolo with his incredible diving shot that he had. And again, on Desnew's goal, he was able to set that hard pick and get Desnew open and free his hands for his goal. So it'll be interesting to see if we see the defense push the pace of play and stay out there a little bit more on those transition opportunities, especially because it worked so well in game 1.
Yeah, and you also saw that feed from Mitch Desnu to Josh Byrne. Like, even
Yeah,
if the forwards are
wicked.
scoring, that's also part of the transition game. And I also wonder if that's part of the mindset this year is pushing that ball up a bit more now that you do not have that forward group that you've had for years and
Right.
years and years. So I'm wondering if they're not that they're given permission, but that's more of a part of their game now that okay, we
Strategy.
can stay and play more. We can push this ball a little bit more because we do not have that electric, 6-man, 7-man know what you got with the forward group this year. So I wonder if the transition game is going to be more a part of this offense moving forward, especially with a group that's looking to replace how many goals that they've close to 50 goals that they lost between those two players. So another thing that I really like from the defense, I like the penalty kill. I was in when I was at the game, I wasn't focused on that as much, but when I was watching it back, I wanted to see how the low men on the penalty kill reacted to this rule change. They were flirting with it a few times, and it didn't. I don't think that rule was called once. I haven't watched the San Diego and Ottawa game back yet. I've watched the other two games along with this one. I don't remember, and I don't think that rule was called once, which is a little bit surprising because I think you still have to block the shot for it to count.
Yeah, you could be in the because they were in the crease all the time
Yeah.
trying to like pick off passes and stuff. So it's only if you block a shot. So
Yeah,
I mean,
because
I
that
don't think
Van
we saw
Scheppen
that at
one,
all.
technically, if he would have made contact with Nanticoke's shot, technically that should have been called a penalty, but he didn't make contact with it. So
Right. So
I
you have
do
to
think.
get the block.
Yeah, they were flirting with it at times, but the one thing I was watching for was okay. Now that Martin's gone and you got some new faces on the back end, if one of these four core guys goes to the penalty box, what does it look like? Dylan Robinson was the first one out at the top end, but it was Mitch Desnu on the back end. And it wasn't just because Cam Wires had that one penalty. They were giving Cam Wires some time off here. So that's going to be also something to monitor is are they trying to
The
limit
rotation.
Cam Wires' time up there, or do they want a fresh look of a Mitch Desnu back there? So that's going to be something to keep an eye on the penalty kill as well. But I liked what I saw, and I'm not the only thing I'm worried about is the side to side passes. Like if they can
what I
get
was
it
gonna say,
behind
yeah.
one of the guys, it's a quick stick away from being in the back of the net because you're not in the crease right now. I think that's the only part
Yep.
that I've seen at least that is what this new rule is going to expose on their penalty kill is that quick stick low. And we saw it in the preseason. We saw once in this game as well. That's going to be the one area of concern to me moving forward on the penalty kill is that quick stick low.
Yeah, that's what worried me too. I was going to bring it up because you are out that much farther,
Yeah.
that pass is exposed and that side of the net is exposed because you're not all the way backed up in the goal. So I do think that is going to be something teams will be able to expose and something they'll have to keep a very close eye on as things kind of go. But like you said, for the first time we're really seeing them, 5 opportunities by Georgia. They only scored once, and everything that we saw I liked a lot. And even though they like the two pillars back there blocking shots, I think it's really hard to pull a guy like Mitch Desnu off the floor, especially in a penalty kill situation where he's so good at loose balls, he's so good at cause turnovers, and he led the team in block shots. So I think he's going to be out there more often than not. And this isn't a shot at Wires. It's just Mitch Desnu's that guy. So it's going to be hard. I think we'll see him more often out there and maybe, like you said, maybe a little less of the block shot situation and more man-to-man kind of what most teams do that aren't Buffalo.
Yeah, and that could unlock another level of Cam Wires' game because he's been back there since he started in this league going into his third year now. He's been that pillar back there this entire time. So giving him some shifts off, I wonder how that affects the rest of his game because I didn't notice him for negative reasons whatsoever in this one. The bad. And I thought Dooley was pretty decent in his limited time back there. I didn't really notice him, so that's a good thing. I thought Ron John, besides those goals from the top that I think he could have gotten out a little bit further on, I thought his presence out there was good. I didn't really have issues with most of the defense. There was one player that really stood out to me, and I feel a little bit bad about calling him out, but that's what this show's about. We're not one of those biased ones that everything's happy and glory. I thought Dawson looked really slow on a few of these ones. The goal number 7, 100% on him. Like, he completely loses. I think there's at times where he is so focused on going for the block shot where he loses where his man is. And that's 100% the reason behind goal 7 going in. He completely loses Brian Cole going behind the net. He doesn't know that he goes behind the net and curls around, and he gets completely spun around, and Brian Cole's wide open in front of the net. But Paul Dawson has no idea where he's there. Goal 9, that goal by Byrne. Byrne. Jab step, just dances around Paul Dawson. He looked too slow on that one. And then goal 10. I mean, Jackson just sprints right by him, and Paul Dawson. I think I don't know how you can pull him off of the field because he's a veteran and he's that calming presence over Matt Vince. But this is a position of that you have to watch for and monitor this season, because if Paul Dawson has lost another step back there, and again, he's been very good on the penalty kill. Don't hear what I'm not saying, and he's been very good as a voice in that room. But if a jab step is really doing that to him and he's losing guys behind the net, and again, game 1, we got, again, I'm trying to hammer this home. I'm trying not to be so overly negative on a 15-11 win, but
this
again,
team's trash.
We got 60 minutes to talk about here. That's it. We have no other data to pull from. If this is the Paul Dawson we're going to get this season, where he's a hair slower, I am worried based on what this league is about. It's quicker. It's faster. These players are younger. Those 3 goals, completely on him. Like, I don't see another goal that was scored that is solely on one player. And again, what we say all the time is this other team has good players as well. They're going to put up goals. They're going to score. It's just going to happen. But these 3 goals, 100% are on Paul Dawson. I'm trying not to just fully pile on him, but those 3 goals, they were on him. There's no way else to talk about it.
And I think the more interesting thing to watch with this is, like, as much as we like Dawson, and again, it is game 1. Not only that, like you said, he probably didn't play in the summer at all. Like, yes, he was working out and everything, but it might take him some time to get going. And, like, especially for an older guy, like, seeing these younger players at full speed, especially a Byrne, a rookie coming out super young, super fast, like, it might take him a moment to get up to speed of gameplay because he didn't play over summer.
Style.
Exactly. So we might see that, but at the same time, this Bandits defense is very deep. So, like you say, it could be something to keep an eye on, that maybe he switches to a little bit, like, has either less shifts or becomes more of a player coach than he is on the field. Again, game 1, I'm not going to say they're taking him off anytime soon, but if you see this 8, 9, 10, 11 games in and he's still doing the same thing, I mean, right now you have Belter, who's injured. You have Matisse, who's injured. Like, those are players who can come in, and Spanger. Like, you have so much depth that is currently sitting back there that's injured that is ready to push this team. So if Dawson continues to look like this way past game 1, even game 2 and 3, they'll definitely give him a pass. He's a veteran. Like you said, he means a ton to this team and what they've done these last 3 championship runs and everything. So he's going to have a long leash, essentially. But eventually, if you see this game 10, 11, 12, and it's still the same thing over and over, you have so much defensive depth on this team that he could start to see himself more either healthy scratched or even just less shifts, and get him more time on the penalty kill, and that's when he's mainly out there, just less shifts in general, or just kind of becomes that player coach and that voice in that locker room. But I think we have a long time before they make any decisions like that.
Yeah, before we dive into Matt Vince's performance and put a bow on this game, let's dive into Tap That Tap Room. They're at 363 Delaware Street in Tonawanda, New York. It's Buffalo's first women-owned self-pour bar featuring 30 consistently rotating taps. All you got to do is just go up there and start pouring by it, guys. It's very easy. They offer a variety of beers, ciders, sours, seltzers, and malt beverages.
They will be hosting, as we mentioned, I think last week, a holiday wreath workshop on Tuesday. If you're listening to this on Monday, it's tomorrow. If you're listening on Tuesday, it's today. December 2nd from 6:30 to 8:30. I believe there are still tickets available, and during the workshop, you get to use a grapevine wreath, fresh live greenery to craft your very own holiday wreath filled with pine cones, berries, bows, and some festive twinkle lights. You will need a ticket. Again, I think they're still available, though, so you can go on the website and get some tickets and have a very festive time. Speaking of being festive, also on Friday, December 5th at 7:30, they are doing Christmas Vacation Trivia, one of the best holiday movies out there. So if you watch it every single year, multiple times a year, go see how you would do in some trivia. Be there or be square. To find out what else is coming up, head to their Facebook page and find out what's on tap and what's on deck. Head to tapthattaproom.com. They have something
for everyone. And I don't know how to transition from that. Mad Vince, it started a bit rough. The first shot he sees goes right by him. And I think of the 11 goals, and again, if you're listening to this show for the first time, we're not ones that blame Matt Vince for every goal that goes behind him, and we don't absolve him for every goal that goes behind him. We rewatch the game, and we go over what ones that he should probably have had and the ones he probably shouldn't have had, because not all are on the goalie and not all are on the defense. The goals
the players are good.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 5 were completely on Matt Vince. Again, this goes back to he doesn't play in the summer anymore. It's going to take him some time to catch back up to this speed. Goal 1, I don't know how that gets by him. I mean, it was a shot from pretty much the restraining line, and it goes right by him. Second one, pretty much the same spot from Shane Jackson. All three of these were from Shane Jackson, pretty much in the exact same spot. And 2 of the 3, I do believe that Ron John probably should have came out a little bit more, but he's in one of those positions where, okay, this is a shot from distance. Matt Vince usually has those. I don't have to get all the way out there. I'd rather make sure he gets the
exact kind of shot that Matt Vince wants and is looking for. Is though, like, that's what they're trying to force. So if he's going to take that, I'm guessing Vince behind him is like, okay, yeah, give me that shot.
Yeah, and most of those times I think Matt Vince does get them, but game 1, and Shane Jackson was a smart veteran. He was shooting around the defender, and this time, 2 of the 3 times it was Ron John, and he was shooting right behind. But those are the 3 of the 11 that I do not think he had a chance on. The third one, Tarbell, that was in transition. Benny just can't catch up to him, and he beat Matt Vince. Fourth one, Benedict, it was great passing on the power play. Again, quick stick, that was the thing that we were talking about in the penalty kill, that they could be exposed. Fifth one was Jackson. Sixth one was Tarbell, once again in transition. Wires is too slow back off the bench to get him, and I believe that was the long change. I believe that was in the second period as well. So it was just a long run from the bench to the back end. Sixth one, that was Dawson, has no clue Cole's behind the net. Eighth, I have no idea what happened there, but Benedict was wide open. I rewatched the play multiple times. I don't know if that was a play design by Georgia, because I noticed it early, or I think it was in the fourth quarter as well. They played 4 guys back on defense and sent one guy out the front gate to get wide open. And it almost worked. They just barely missed the pass. I don't know if that was the same type of situation where Benedict was wide open, but nobody was within 20 feet of him, and he beat Matt Vince there. Ninth one was Dawson just getting beat jab step by Nolan Byrne. 10th one, Dawson kind of loses Jackson run by. Weiss doesn't switch off, because why would he in that situation? I mean, Weiss has got the guy in front of him. And then McIntosh, it was a great pick by McIntosh. Hard pick, but I rewatched it. It was a pick from the side. It wasn't a hit from the back. It was a clean pick. Perfect. Leaves Dawson all alone. He does the best he can between Lyle and McIntosh. He chose Lyle. I would choose Lyle all the time as well. So those were the goals. Really, I think he wants back 1, 2, and 5, because those were from distance. But I think this is the Matt Vince that we're going to see to start the season until we get to February, March, April, when he starts turning it on. I think you're going to see a good, not great Matt Vince until he gets into his rhythm and his prime. And because it's on, off to start the season, it might take a bit for Matt Vince to get in that rhythm. But again, he was good, not great, but I'm expecting great when it comes time to need him to be great, and they didn't need him to be great in this game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought when I saw those 3 goals in. Watching it back was, if Matt Vince is dialed in, those aren't going in. So yeah. Not worried at all. He looked fine for the most part. He still made a few really big saves and a few breakaway saves. Like, you can tell he's settling back in. He's going to take some time, but you got the win. He did what he needed to do, did enough to get the win. I think, like you said, that's what you're going to see for a little bit. This Halifax game, who does have a very legitimate offense, that's going to be a bit scarier than Georgia's offense, so we'll see how he does. I'm happy, again, it sounds mean, but I'm happy they got Georgia as the first game, as kind of the shake off the rust game. And I know they have a week off, but they'll have that week off to kind of review film, look at what didn't work, and move forward. But I think Vince, having that first game under his belt, he should be better every single game throughout the year. So happy to, I mean, even that first shot, I mean, it's just something like, oh, this is full game speed. My goodness. Like, okay, well, let's dial it in. So, like you said already, in the second half, he looked much, much better and really settled in that second half, where they get 3 goals the whole time in the second half. So that's the Matt Vince you can expect a little bit more often. So I think that first half was just him settling in, a little bit rough, but he'll be fine moving forward.
Miscellaneous and penalties. Penalties, Nielsen elbowing, clear elbow, good call. Priolo body check, I can't believe it got reduced. I know he didn't get Burns' head, but I think those are the type of hits they're trying to get out of the game. And he went through the chest and up, but he also didn't have the ball. So I was not, I wouldn't have been shocked if they kept that at a 5.
Especially again, like, without the ball, that's
he
a bad
clocked him, man. That was
hit. Yeah,
I can't believe Byrne got up from that. It's a tough kid. Slashing for wires, sure. I mean, they're going to call those. Byrne, he hit the goalie. They're going to call that every time. It was as light as it could be, but you're still going to call it. And then Buffalo legal sub. Yeah, you got to be better on the bench. Good miscellaneous stuff. The league is listening to us, Phil. Between the video replay, which I do think that replay video new system that they got with the 8 camera angles and everything that they were explaining with Teddy and Pat were explaining in game 1. I love that the refs have more control over what they're seeing. They can zoom in, they can match up everything. I love that video system. Will it take some time to catch up to what they're seeing and make the process a bit more expedited? 100%. But I think even if it takes a bit longer, you're going to see a lot less of them coming back with inconclusive. We can't find anything. We're going to go with the call on the field that stands. Because now they can zoom in. They can match up everything. There's going to be what they're seeing on the bench is going to be what the refs review. So I love the new video system. We were calling for it in the offseason, so they were listening for it. Bonus honorable mention that I didn't know they were going to do is a goalie in the box, man. Like, I tossed that out for funniness. I was not expecting by game 1 we see Brett Dobson in the box. But if that's the way they're going to call it, if a goalie gets a major and has to go to the box, I love it. Them serving a minor, I get it. They're not going to serve a minor. But if that's the way they're going to do it, and I know a bunch of people were looking in the rule book, they couldn't find that. He doesn't have to serve. He has to serve. It was kind of like left up to interpretation for the rules. For the refs, I love that they made him serve because that's just more NLL content that's going to go worldwide now. Of look what our sport makes you do. Our goalie has to sit in the box. But yeah, I love that. The commercials for lacrosse, I don't know if you rewatch that game and the commercials now, but there were legit lacrosse commercials with, watch this game coming up next week. Or, hey, there was a guy sitting on the couch with a Bandits sweatshirt. Like, there's actually commercials that appeal to the people that are watching your sport. Love it. And then Connor Farrell, yes, he was not going against any face-off guy, but 16 for 18 in the first half. I thought he did a phenomenal job in the first half of winning them clean and finding the man. There were only 2 instances I can remember, and one of them was on the penalty kill. I'm absolving of that. So one time where he just didn't know what to do with it, and he just crashed the net and they lose the ball. But other than that, I think this is the best Connor Farrell we've seen so far, where he's winning it clean, finding a guy, or winning it and scooping it way back there for Buffalo to get. I think if this is the Connor Farrell you're going to get, where he's going to be winning, he's not going to go, 25 of 31. It's not going to happen. 26 of 31. He's not going to happen. But if he's winning 55 to 60% of the time, and that's what I want from a Fogo, I'll take it any day. I thought he was very good at the faceoff dot.
Yeah, I think the big thing with him, to me as well, which I wrote in my notes, he's winning it different ways, which I thought was really interesting. That, like you said, sometimes he's launching it all the way back to Vince. Other times he's picking it up himself and finding the open outlet. So to see him be able to mix up the way he's winning it, I think also helps him in finding people that are open, because the other team can't just be like, okay, he's going to win it to himself. If he wins it, it's either going to be a scramble or he's going to win it to himself, and at that point just block all the passing lanes. He doesn't know what to do with it. If he has variation in the way he's winning, and it seemed like it was a decent amount of variation, they can't just lock down on one option or the other. So I think that'll help him moving forward. I think they also, for rule changes, listened to us with giving more time for challenges.
30
I think
seconds
it went
now.
from up to 30 seconds. So we're making waves in the NLL with our rule changes. So you're welcome for that. But yeah, no, I do really like the video replay system too. I can't even imagine thinking about how it used to be, which again, it's been 1 week, so not that long ago, but having to ask the video booth, like, hey, can we see this angle? Can we see this angle? Can you rewind, fast forward? Like, it sounds like a nightmare compared to this. Like, even if, like you said, it takes a little longer for them to get used to this, at least they can pick the angle they want, pick the speed they want, rewind, fast forward, zoom in. I think it'll just be a much, much better system moving forward. So I am very happy that they did that.
3 negatives for my miscellaneous. Number 1, game 1, ref mics were still an issue across the league. It was an issue in game 1 for Buffalo. It was an issue in Oshawa. I don't get it. Like, I really don't get why this league struggles to have working mics for these referees all the time. It's a simple fix. It just needs to be fixed. Number two, for some reason, now they have pictures next to the graphics of the players on the broadcast. I don't know why. I think I know why. But Ryan Benesh was Taylor Dooley. And I think it was based on the number. Like, I think they didn't switch it for some reason when Benesh took Dooley's number. But it was twice they showed Ryan Benesh, and it was Taylor Dooley, and it was clear and obvious. It made no sense. And then even I'll go at a different time. Will Malcolm's name was wrong on his jersey in Colorado. Like, these small little issues that just add up. And the last one, I am filing a complaint to the Buffalo Bandits department. I've waited 9 years for Ryan Benesh to come back. I made sure his goal song was correct, that it was supposed to be Benny and the Jets. It was listed as Benny and the Jets to the people in the audience. And what the heck did we get when he scored the goal? Because it wasn't Benny and the Jets, man. That place was going to erupt, and you played something else. I don't even know what music it was. Wasn't even listening. I was ready for Benny and the Jets, and it wasn't happening. Whoever was there needs to be formally written up. It shouldn't happen. Ryan Benesh, his name is Benny. Benny and the Jets. It's clear and obvious that it should be Benny and the Jets. So unless there was a valuable reason, unless Elton John wrote a cease and desist letter that you can't use his music, it should be clear and obvious that Benny and the Jets, and I was not the only one. I think 19,070 people were on my side in this, plus all the people listening at home. Never again will Benny and the Jets not be played when Benny and the Jets scores on home turf. I've waited how long, Phil? And I'm still waiting. I've been waiting 8 years and 1 day now. It'll be 8 days or 13 days or whatever it is by the time they play again. If it's not played in Halifax, when he plays Halifax and he scores a goal, I'm rioting. I'm getting all 19,000 of me along with with Benny himself. We're going to riot and swarm the field. It's going to happen. I'm going to start a mutiny, Phil. I'm going to start a mutiny.
As far as my miscellaneous, one more good, very, very generic, but obviously Desanu and Benesh back in Buffalo, they both looked really good in their return debuts, so that's just great for the team moving forward. And question for you, what are your thoughts on the new shot clock that's supposed to
Hate
be...
it.
Oh, okay. There it is.
Yeah, I think it's stupid. I loved when, I think it was Steve Bermel or Dave Buchanan, I can't remember which one of them tweeted out that there was new shot clocks and it was going to have the time above the shot clock. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I got there. They changed the placement of it, and the size of it is like you need a microscope to see it. Like, yeah. I don't get that changed either. I didn't like the shot clocks in Vancouver either. Like, they weren't directly behind the net. They were kind of in the corners, and the right-hand side, you can't see the shot clock from the TV. Like, you can only watch it from the little bug, and half the time the bug doesn't work. So I did not like that change. I'm not a fan of it. I think they should go back to the old style.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't know why it's not above the net where everyone can see it. Like, it just, like, if you're on the offensive side and somebody's standing in front of it, you have no idea how much time's left on the clock. So, and even like if you're a goalie on the opposite side, looking at the shot clock on the other side, tick down to see what's going on. Yeah, you got to turn around and like look behind you. You have no idea. You can't see it. Like, it's very strange. Like, above the boards and above the net where they had it before, everybody can see it. It's very obvious. It's dead center. Everyone can see it. I don't mind if they kept the same size. I don't mind, like you said, like adding the time. Like, that's fine. And then having the new kind of brighter look of it is good. Like, it overall, if it was a bigger sign, would look fine, but the placement's very, very strange, and I don't understand that. Hopefully they get enough complaints and put it back to where it was.
Yeah, between the where they put it and the new smaller size, I didn't like it.
Strange.
I wasn't a fan of it because half the time I was catching myself to have to look up at the jumbotron and then back down to the play to see how much time was left in the shot.
And you miss it.
Not a fan. Milestones. There were 6 possible, only 1 hit. So adding to my job next week, Bandits. Toe Kanadakoke needed 2 goals. He got 2. Congratulations. 100 goals. Big accomplishment. Not a ton of players get to 100 goals in their NLL career. But we'll look on NLL Outlook. You and the People's Picks went 2-2. I went 1-3. Not a good week from PK. Bad time. Oshawa takes down Toronto in their inaugural game up in Canada. 8-7 win. Oshawa scored 4 in the fourth. It was 1-1 after one. Oshawa 4-3 at half, and I'll get to it in a minute. But Simmons trash talk after the game, I absolutely loved it. We tweeted it. He moved up my players I'm rooting for board. Oshawa. Kurtz had 3 points. Simmons had 6. Clark with 3. Johansson had 10 loose balls and 1 caused turnover. Dyson, 1 big goal. 1-1-2. Walker, 2, 1-3, including the game winner. Jameson, 40-55 saves. Toronto, Kirst, looked good. 2-2-4. Dowick was shut out. 8 shots on goal. Bushi, 1 goal on 6 shots. Rogers, 2-1-3. Craig, shut out. Matthews shut out. Hiltz 2 goals. Rose 32-40. But I think the talk of the town for Toronto at least was Sam English. He was all over the frickin' field. It's hard to outplay a CJ Kirst and an Owen Hiltz, but Sam English found a way. 11 loose balls, 4 caused turnovers. I think he had like 7 shots on net. He was an absolute monster out there. Toronto, if they can figure out the scoring, is going to be very scary this year.
Yeah, I really liked what Toronto brought, especially, like you said, all the rookies and English, all the young players just looked incredible. They have quite the little trio that they're building there. It's the rest of the team that really kind of fell apart and didn't pull their own weight. But if the rookies can keep playing like this and continue to step up, their defense looked incredible. Rose honestly did not look very good. The goals he was giving up were
He had one great save,
horrible.
but other than that, he was just like there.
Yeah. I mean, he did have some good saves, but a lot of soft goals, like not just 1 or 2. Like, to me, Oshawa didn't really deserve to win this game. I thought between Jameson stealing it and Rose not playing very good, I think the goalies were kind of the deciding factor in this game. Yes. I think Jameson stole it for Oshawa, and I think Rose blew it for Toronto. I don't know. He didn't play very well. He still made enough saves and everything to keep them in it. I mean, he only let in 8 goals total, so he wasn't horrible. But again, the goals he let in didn't seem great, and Jameson was all over the place. He looked really, really good. I thought Oshawa as a whole did not look very good. I thought Toronto dominated this game for the most part, and they just kind of fell apart to lose it at the end. But yeah, young guns for Toronto look really scary. Their defense looks really scary. Rose, even though he didn't have the best game, still only let in 8. Yeah, Toronto looks good, and I'm happy they lost.
Yeah, round of applause for Alex Simmons. He is the type of player that's going to get this league to the next level.
That the league needs.
Yeah, I love him. I love him. He's like, he said it so nonchalantly, like this is just who he is. And he's said this like prior years as well, when he was kind of getting under Bandits' skin as well, where he's getting involved and just laughing in players' faces when he draws the penalty. I love those type of players. And then when he talks to the media like that, like, yeah, like we wanted to beat them, like they don't want us here, and your owner is kind of a loudmouth. And I loved it. Like, you need more of that. Like, people who watch this, and I don't want it just for show. Like, I don't want people just putting on an act or trying to get clicks and all that kind of stuff. I want it organically, and that was organic. It was like, I don't want him to go up there and just go, yeah, we beat a good team. They came in here and we kind of defended our own home turf. It was like, they didn't want us here. They did everything they could to stop us from coming to Oshawa, and we whooped your butt. Like, suck it. I want more of that. Like, if that's how you feel, let it flow, because that's just going to create more
content,
viewership. Viewership. Like, Dane Smith goes on there and he goes, yeah, that's a good team over there. I don't want you to say that, but that's who Dane Smith is. I get that he's not going to go out there and start talking smack. That's not who he is. Alex Simmons, that's who he is. I want to see players be their natural selves in front of the microphones. If you're feeling a certain way and that's who you are, spill it. I do not want to, if that's who you are, I do not want you to read, they're a good team, we fought hard, we came out victorious. I don't want that. If that's not how you're feeling, don't say it. Say how you're feeling. I absolutely loved it. I think that's going to help. And he instantly shot up my rankings for players I'm rooting for aboard. But Saturday, 7 o'clock, San Diego gets the win, 16-13 over Ottawa. Ottawa's woes, and going back to New York, continue. San Diego 3-0 after 1, 7-3 at half. Each scored 9 goals the rest of the way. Ottawa scored 4 straight in the fourth to get it to 1 with 13:15 to go, but it wasn't enough. San Diego 29 4 in the faceoff dot for everybody that cares about faceoffs. Berg 1, 4, and 5. Leclerc goes nuts 5, 3, and 8. Small 3 goals in his debut. Watson quietly 2, 3, and 5, being that third fiddle on the left hand side. They're so deep on the left hand side now. Krab 1, 3, and 4. O'Rig 37 of 50 saves, and Courier does nothing but 2 assists, 18 loose balls, 1 block shot, and 1 cost turnover. For Ottawa, O'Connor 2, 4, and 6. Hellier 3, 5, and 8 in his debut. Jones 10 loose balls and 1 caused turnover. Dunbar very quiet. That's why I didn't talk about him at all this offseason. 1 assist on 2 shots. Teat 2, 2, and 4 on 15 shots. He's toast. He's cooked. His career's done. Kiernan 2 goals, but the one he scored was absolutely ridiculous. And then Higgins 40 of 54 saves. So Ottawa drops to 0-1. San Diego rises to 1-0.
A lot of interesting upsets, and we'll keep going with upsets after this one. But I think San Diego upsetting, I think that's an upset to Ottawa. I know a lot of people were higher on San Diego than I was headed into the season. I didn't really see what their offense could be. I didn't think they had enough firepower to keep up. Again, it's game 1, but I really thought Ottawa was going to. I thought Ottawa has a good defense. Higgins is a pretty good goalie, so I thought Ottawa was going to be able to keep it close. And then with their reloaded Hellier offense, that they were going to be able to kind of take a closer game in this one. I did not expect it to be 16-13 at all from both teams, because San Diego also has a good defense. So to see both offenses kind of explode was pretty interesting. But even with that explosion, like you said, T with only 4 points on 13 goals, that's interesting. He'll be fine. There's nothing really to worry about there. But I think the big thing for me in this one is San Diego's offense is very even across the board. Leclerc looks really, really good. But other than that, I mean, they had a pretty everybody eats kind of offense, and they were able to put up 16 against a not elite defense, but a good defense and a good goalie. So San Diego's offense is something to keep an eye on.
Hopefully everybody knew I was joking with Jeff Teat. I don't think he's actually cooked.
You said it pretty sarcastically.
Saturday, the last game of the weekend, 10 p.m. Colorado 10-7 victory over Vancouver. Once again, I'm being sarcastic. Vancouver's not winning. They're not even making the playoffs. They're cooked. They wasted all their money this offseason. Colorado 1-0 after 1, 3-2 at half, and then 8-5 after 3. The refs did not know how to swallow their whistles in this one. Holy cow. Unbelievable. Brooke sat down for maybe 5 minutes, and I think 3 penalty calls were made, and she goes, wow, there's a lot of penalties in this game. It's so slow. It's like, yeah, it's been this way the entire game. Colorado wins the faceoff dot 16-4. So I think all teams that won this weekend dominated the faceoff dot. If I remember correctly, I would have to go look at Toronto versus Oshawa, but neither one of them had faceoff men. But Colorado 2 for 7 on the power play. Vancouver 4 for 8. Colorado, Malcolm, learn how to spell your star player's last name, Colorado. 6-2 and 8 on 13 shots. He was absolutely nuclear. Every time he touched the ball in the third quarter, it was going to the back of the net. Lee 1, 6, and 7. Gillies 10 loose balls. Q 2, 5, and 7. He comes out over from Georgia and just like, watch what I do in Colorado. Ward 37 of 44 saves. Then Vancouver, very slow offense, and Kurt Malowski was talking about this leading up to the regular season, how I'm not impressed with this offense so far, and that transitioned into the regular season. Dixon 2, 1, and 3. King 1, 3, and 4. Ball 1 goal and 6 assists. Sheridan 1, 1, and 2. Christian Del Bianco didn't look like him vintage self either. 36 of 46 saves. Game 1, they're still my favorite in my opinion, but bad game 1 for Vancouver.
Oshawa did win the face-off battle.
Okay, there you
12
go.
of 19. So.
Face-offs matter. We were wrong all along. That's all you need to win a championship is just win the face-off dot.
Yeah, OTCB.
Watch YouTube. See my facial expression. I wasn't serious, guys. God, relax.
Pat Gregoire mentioned that Vancouver could get off to a very slow start based on what he saw in preseason and just their offense trying to put things together. And Teddy Jenner said everyone's sleeping on Colorado and that they're a better team than people think. And Game 1,
That's
both
why you
of
listen to
those,
OTCB.
Great takes, right? Great takes on both of those. They both come together in one game. Malcolm looked last year. Malcolm looked not great most of the season. He looked lost at times. He just didn't look like the player that they were expecting. And this game, this is the Malcolm you are looking for. My goodness, I mean, scoring over half of your team's goals is pretty impressive. Like you said, Q also came as advertised. He was a huge addition to Colorado. Everyone's been talking about it, and he looked really great in his first game. Vancouver's going to be fine. Very slow start for them, but they'll pull it together. They'll be okay. But I mean, honestly, it's weird. But for me, I know it's game one and everything for all these teams, but Buffalo getting a win, Toronto getting a loss, Vancouver getting a loss. I was like, okay. As far as season-long standings go, this looks great for Buffalo. Great week one.
Yeah, so next week there's only 2 games, and a round of applause to NLL. They're scheduled on different nights. Huge. I'm not even joking about that. I loved it because most times they would have scheduled the same time, same night. Oshawa, Halifax on Friday, and Calgary, Saskatchewan on Saturday. And they were advertising for it on the broadcasts. Loved it. Well, we'll break those games down a little bit more on the next show. We're an hour in, so we're going to fly through these next 2 segments real quick because I don't want to talk about them. Bills versus Steelers, 26-7 win, and who cares? They ran the ball a lot. They're not winning the Super Bowl, guys. I don't care. Like, I can honestly say, out of the 60 minutes that they played on Sunday night at 4:25, and I hate that time frame. I hate it. That's why we're recording late, and it's almost 9 o'clock already, and I still got to edit. It was just a boring game, man. Like, what the heck is this off? What the heck did Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, and Joe Brady do to this offense that I loved so much a few years ago? It's so boring. Yeah, you got to win without your tackles. Congratulations. You beat a Steelers team that sucks butts. Like, they're terrible. They're awful. Yeah, they're 6-6, but they got an old man, Aaron Rodgers, who's playing with a broken wrist. Like, good job. Like, whoop-de-doo. Like, I do not care. Like, and they won. And call me negative Nancy all you want today. I don't care. I'm trash talking victories, but they're bad. Like, this team is bad. Like, they're not going to win anything in the playoffs. If they prove me wrong and go on to win a Super Bowl, that's perfectly fine. I will sit here and own it all day as they win a Super Bowl championship and have a parade down Chippewa. I do not care. This team is a one and done in the playoffs. They're toast. They're not a good football team. It's that simple. They ran over the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Mike Tomlin is horrible. And Pittsburgh is finally realizing that they're horrible because he started chanting, "Fire Mike Tomlin." He has not been a good coach in years. There's a reason why I have him in a poll that if he wins another Super Bowl, I'm out $1,000. If he never wins another Super Bowl again, I get $1. Like, that's the team they beat. They beat a Steelers team that their defense is ancient. They have a broken quarterback. Their offensive line stinks, and they have DK Metcalf, who they traded for and don't use. That's the team they beat 26-7, and they struggled doing it, and they had to run 240 some odd yards to do it. Like, this is not a good football team, guys. This is a very boring football team. They're like the New York Islanders. Like, they win 2-1 games, and it's not fun to watch. That's what this team is. Like, you lose to Houston, then you beat Steelers, and half of the town is going to go, "They're back, guys. They're back. Yay." They're not back. They stink. Like, this is not a good football team. If they lost this game, Phil, they were going to be in the hunt category. That's how bad this team has been this season. It's I'm done. Like I said, I didn't even want to talk about this segment. They won, whoop-de-doo. They're sitting 8-4. They stink.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to, again, the Bills and the Sabres, for different reasons, same mentality, just not living up to expectations. One can't make playoffs, one can't win a Super Bowl, but you have the same exact feelings of disappointment. And like you said, yes, it's very harsh on a 26-7 win, but it just this kind of win doesn't move the needle of our feelings toward this team right now. And the feelings are they're not going to win a Super Bowl.
It actually moves them in a further negative way.
PK went the other way.
I told you, and I didn't want to talk about this one. Sabres. Wednesday, 4-2 loss. Nobody showed up. Friday, 5-0 loss. Definitely nobody showed up. And then Saturday, luckiest victory in the world, 3-2 shootout versus Minnesota. They got 2 games. Monday versus Winnipeg and Wednesday versus Philly. I don't care. All I'm saying is I'm so happy that the Buffalo Bandits back, because even if they lose, it's going to be an entertaining loss. Like, I'm so happy that now, from now until hopefully the end of May, the bulk majority of what we talk about is actually going to be interesting and fun to talk about, rather than the 2 other teams that like to call Buffalo home.
We've said this a lot on this podcast, but I mean, it was our choice to start a Bandits dedicated podcast and follow that team. But also, I think we're both very thankful that we picked the.
Did you just
Bandits
listen to
and
the
get
last 6 minutes?
follow
Me
that
too.
team. Yeah. We've talked about it a lot, like having to be a Sabres dedicated podcast the last 14 years, having to be a Bills dedicated podcast the last few years where they just keep failing to meet expectations. And then you got a Bandits dedicated podcast where they've been to 5 straight championships, won 3, and still look really good. It's a lot more fun talking about the Buffalo Bandits.
Yeah, it's not just about the winning. Like, it was
They're a
fun
fun
talking
team.
about the Bills when their offense was fun. It's just
Right.
they're
Again, a few
inept.
years ago, the Bills were fine.
Yeah, they're inept
Now
and they don't
it's
feel
not.
like doing anything to change it. That's my biggest problem is you're doing the definition of insanity with these franchises over and, over and over.
Wasting a
Like,
generational talent.
It's insane.
Congrats.
And he didn't get sacked today, and everybody's going to give everybody a round of applause because you did that with backup tackles.
He's got the QB rushing touchdown record. Congrats.
Way to go. Thumbs up. Yeah, if you want to watch YouTube, I give good facial expressions talking about the Bills. Yeah, that was like 6 minutes of my life I'll never get back. So on the next
How
show,
about those Bandits?
yeah, next show, we don't have Bandits to preview because they're on a bye already. But we'll find something to talk about. There will be no interview this week because there's nobody to talk to leading up to a bye week. It's just
PK
the
also
way it
needs a
is.
break from his 17
I also need a
interviews.
break. 4 interviews in a solo show, and you see I'm a little overwhelmed.
It's going to be PK's bye week as well.
It's PK bye week. Phil's article will be out on Tuesday. Give that a read on our website, buffalosportscollective.com. My power rankings will be out on Thursday, and our pick'em will also be out on Thursday. Remember, if you want to participate in the people's picks for the BSC NLL pick'em this year, X will be out tomorrow. Well, you're listening to this on Wednesday or Monday, I should say. X is going to run from sometime Monday when I post it all the way until 5 or 6 o'clock on Wednesday. And then it's going to be out on Instagram on the story only from Tuesday through Wednesday. So if you want to participate, you guys are already doing better than me, 2-2. Go vote there. You can vote in both places. Doesn't matter. You can create a second account if you want to vote. I don't care. But let's get more votes than we did last week. And last week we got a ton of votes. So that's what's coming up this coming week. Again, give Phil's article a read on Thursday and check out everything else coming up. But that will conclude this episode. So thank you all for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective as I look for the outro song. Thank you to Tap That Tap Room for sponsoring this episode and this podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Remember, that's where you vote for the NLL Pick'em. Visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com. That's where you go for Phil's article. Follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. Until next week, thank you, Bandits, for coming back. Bye-bye.